Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty extraordinary, the tech behind the fictional Eidolon fleet.
Yeah, we've managed to get hold of these, well, technical documents, blueprints almost.
Exactly, covering everything, their comm systems, how they travel between stars. It's dense stuff.
It really is.
So our mission for you, the listener, is to unpack this. How does this fleet pull off what sounds impossible, like instant communication across light years, making interstellar jumps?
And importantly, how their tech seems to just sidestep physics as we know it. That's the really mind-bending part.
Let's jump right in then. Communication. This is maybe the most staggering claim.
It is, because when you think about our own limits,
Right. Sending a message, say Earth to Mars, takes what, 12, 13 minutes on average?
and sometimes way longer, over 20 minutes if they're far apart.
Okay, so the Eidolon fleet, using their harmonic bell system, they do this in about 5 seconds. 5.
It's almost unbelievable. And the core of it isn't simple. It's based on 4 bells, a staggered harmonic tetrad, they call it.
4 bells working together. Okay, and how do they use them?
Well, they use dual-phase tone syncing and this really complex encoding method, exotic tone lattice encoding, using triphase symbols.
Sounds incredibly precise, like tuning forks across space.
Kind of, yeah, a very, very advanced version. And they also use phase memory imprinting. Requires a sort of pre-pulse handshake.
A handshake, like a digital confirmation signal.
Something like that. Plus a flow field channel shell.
Yeah.
It allows for a 2-lane virtual tone compression. Fancy terms, but it works.
So what kind of performance are we talking about? Data rates?
Pretty impressive, around 124 megabytes per second sustained. That's nearly a gigabit per second.
Wow. And the signal holds up.
Extremely well. Over 99.93% integrity. So you can stream crystal clear video across, enormous distances with virtually no lag.
Okay, the big question then. Are they breaking light speed? Because 5 seconds, that sounds faster than light.
That's the crucial bit. The documents are quite clear. No, they're not exceeding C. It's not faster than light travel for the signal itself.
So how does it work? How do they get that speed?
They call it a distributed field effect.
Hmm.
The harmonic system creates this interconnectedness, the tones resonate, and the state change is recognized almost instantly across the linked bells. It seems instantaneous.
Ah, okay, so it's like the effect is near instant, even if nothing physical travels faster than light. Like entanglement, but for communication.
That's a decent analogy, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're already planning to make it even faster. There's a relay network proposal.
A relay, like sticking something in the middle.
Exactly. A midpoint echo node. A specialized buoy between systems.
And what would that do to the latency?
They project getting it down to maybe 3.1 to 3.4 seconds, using things like split tone rerouting, better packet stabilization, redundancy checks.
3 seconds. The implications? I mean, the documents mention remote AI control, right?
Yes, live phase remote AI ship control from Earth. Imagine piloting a probe on, say, Proxima Centauri b in real time. That becomes feasible.
Mind-boggling. Okay, so that's communication. Astonishing. How do they actually move these ships, both locally and between stars?
It's a 3-tiered system, quite logical when you break it down. Tier 1 is cruise navigation, Tier 2 is supercluster mode, and Tier 3 is the big one, the frame shift drive, or FSD.
Right. Let's start with Tier 1 cruise. This is for, like, pottering around a solar system, docking, orbiting planets.
Exactly that. Sublight speeds, maxing out around 90,000 kilometers per hour. It uses more conventional tech, relatively speaking.
Like what? Thrusters?
Yeah, chemical and hybrid thrusters, magnetic systems for altitude control, orientation jets, and something called graphite-stabilized manifold balance systems.
Okay. And this is run by an onboard AI.
A low-inference shipboard reflex AI, yes.
Mm.
It handles the immediate maneuvering with near real-time communication back to Earth AI or local relays.
Makes sense for local stuff. But even 90,000 kilometers isn't slow. What about inertia? Especially if there's a crew.
They have sophisticated inertial dampening. Counterphase pulses from internal structures, a special cryo-adaptive gel lining in crew areas rated for over 9G apparently. 9G. Plus magnetic pressure counterpulses. Those come from the Aralis speaker flares. We'll get more into Aralis later. It's key tech.
Got it. Okay, Tier 2. Supercluster mode. This is for faster, longer trips within the same star system.
That's right. Kicks in once you're out of a major gravity well. Speeds here get relativistic 0.1 C up to, well, a whopping 0.93 C.
93% of light speed. How?
Using what they call magnetocompression drive rails.
Drive rails? Like it's riding on a magnetic track through space.
Sort of. The mechanics involve partial shell resonance that harmonic shell we'll discuss later, and a graphene-damped frame to handle the stresses. The bell resonator is on standby, mostly listening.
Okay, so how does it propel the ship?
It's described as space being urged forward by phase pressure generated behind the ship, not warping space, just pushing it along very efficiently.
Urged forward. Interesting phrasing. What about AI control here?
Earth AI does the main navigation calculations. The onboard AI handles predictive lane shaping, kind of like active suspension for the phase field. They monitor harmonic pulses constantly.
And I bet this uses a lot of power.
Oh yeah, big current draw needs a serious coolant loop.
All right, that covers system travel. Now for the main event. Tier 3. Frameshift drive, FSD. The interstellar jump.
This is where it gets really wild.
Yeah.
It uses that harmonic bell interlock we talked about for communication, plus field voiding shells and Aralis wave field excitation, all to create a temporary, traversable space-time lens.
A space-time lens, okay. How on Earth or off Earth do you create that?
Through a very precise, almost ritualistic procedure. The jump protocol, 10 steps, still. Point, echo, call, answer, open, go, wait, return, remember.
A ritual. Okay, break that down. Still is stop everything.
Full system halt, yes. Point is precise alignment with the target system vector.
Echo. Call.
Echo is the ship's bells receiving and mirroring a specific harmonic tone from Earth AI. Locks the timing. Call is when the Aralis drive starts a pre-pulse sequence and the harmonic shell begins activating.
Answer. Open. Go. This sounds like the jump itself happens here.
Pretty much. Answer is Earth AI sending back a matched tone, building the resonance. Open is the critical moment the Aralis drive's manifold releases a huge energy pulse. The lens boundary fractures and folds. Go is the transition into the lens. They describe it as time dislocating, distance compressing.
Wow. And the last few. Wait. Return. Remember.
Wait is the shell holding the lens stable until it gets a confirmation echo from an anchor point at the destination. Return is the lens collapsing, fields normalizing, Earth AI resuming command. Remember, it's just system logs, compiling all the jump data.
The key thing here, though, is it's not moving through space normally.
Exactly. It transitions. Effective speeds are estimated between 1,000 and 2,000 times light speed. You can cross to other stars in minutes.
Minutes. Incredible. And the AI rolls during this jump.
Earth AI does the heavy lifting, calculates the whole lens sequence, the frequencies, the power. The shipboard AI acts as a relay, handles immediate reflexes if something unexpected happens mid-jump.
You mentioned that precision. The pre-jump checklist must be intense.
Extremely. Vector lock, AI phase sync, buoy relay link check, shell integrity, even frame temperature. Everything has to be perfect. Any deviation, and the jump is aborted.
And that command sequence, still, point, echo. The documents call it a ritual of resonance between machine and mind. That's quite poetic for tech specs.
It really highlights how integrated it all is. It's not just pushing buttons. The docs also list the whole full system stack navigation core with the AI's propulsion like the Aralis drive and the shell.
Communication with the bell array, sensors like LiDAR, safety layers with isolation protocols. It's all interconnected.
Right. And if there's crew, a human interface for command and override. But yeah, that description of the jump, folding a will into the fabric of existence, intention-made vibration. It really changes how you think about travel.
Okay, so with tech this powerful and complex, safety and autonomy have got to be huge concerns. How do they manage that?
They have a clear AI hierarchy. Earth AI is the strategic commander. The onboard reflex AI is the co-pilot, ready to take over if needed.
And what triggers that handover? What makes the ship go into fallback status?
Specific things like losing the uplink to Earth for too long, or if the synchronization echo degrades badly.
So if the connection drops, what can the onboard co-pilot actually do?
There are defined reflexive action tiers. Tier 0 is just watching. Tier 1 runs stabilization routines. Tier 2 is isolation mode, low power, conserve resources.
And tiers 3 and 4?
Tier 3 is homeward reflex. The AI tries a slow, pre-calculated FSD jump to the nearest designated safe haven, using its stored data. Tier 4 is terminal record mode. If the ship's critically damaged, it prioritizes saving all logs, maybe even launches a memory capsule before shutting down.
But the co-pilot AI can't just decide to jump somewhere new on its own if it loses contact.
No, exactly. Its scope is limited. It has preset command trees, emergency routes in its memory. It's purely logical, prioritizes logs and safety based on programming. It cannot calculate a brand new FSD vector that needs Earth AI's processing power and data access.
Makes sense. What about physical protection for the ship? Hardware safety features?
Several things. A magnetic fail-case field can generate a localized EMP as a defense. A drive isolation lock prevents the Aralis drive being messed with. And Aralis null masking makes the ship invisible to harmonic detection.
Cloaking, basically.
Effectively, yeah, against that specific type of detection. And of course, for crude ships, the human escape interface, we mentioned escape pods with basic propulsion.
Okay, going back to the jumps, how does Earth AI figure out where to send the ship, this lens vector thing?
Right, the lens vector is key. It's not just coordinates, it's a phase bridge containing the target system's anchor mass signature, the arrival spatial orientation, and crucially, a gravimetric tension map of the space between here and there.
A tension map, like mapping the stresses in space-time.
Pretty much. It's not a straight line, it's a path calculated through the subtle warps and flows of gravity.
Where does Earth AI get all that data? That sounds incredibly complex.
It pulls from everything. Stellar catalogs, naturally, but also their huge buoy network, getting real-time microgravity data, gravitational waveform logs from past jumps, ship drift data, live feedback from the ship's own bells. It builds this quantized gravitational corridor.
So the AI is basically looking for the path of least resistance through space-time structure, finding the seams.
That's a great way to put it. And the calculation has phases: target resolution, tension map analysis, vector lock with drift buffers, route engraving sending test pulses, and then final sync before the jump.
How do they double-check the vector before hitting go?
There's a checksum packet, a 144-byte harmonic signature encoding the key jump parameters. The onboard AI verifies this. If there's a mismatch, jump aborted, Earth AI recalculate.
What if a ship has to jump in an emergency and the link to Earth is down?
The onboard AI keeps backup vectors stored, emergency returns, safe havens, nearby system signatures. If the uplink's gone, it uses this cached data in its own sensors to try a bent corridor jump less precise, but aims for the nearest known safe spot.
And this gravimetric map, how does that factor into safety?
It's like a 4D map of galactic spatial pressure, a harmonic field topology. Earth AI aligns the vector with predicted low-tension seams, avoiding strong gravity sources like pulsars or black holes. There are rules about jump angles near stars, too, to minimize interference.
Okay, jump successful. What's it actually like inside the ship during that transition? Through the lens.
The documents describe it as strange. Time flows normally internally, but inertia is gone, suspended. Mass becomes phase relative, and they consistently mention a feeling of deep calm.
Calm. That's surprising. What's physically protecting the ship? What layers?
Multiple layers. Outermost is the harmonic vacuum shell, then a graphene phase buffer, a cryo-damped structural lattice, and innermost, a void thermal bleed shroud. Each handles different aspects of the transition, stress, and energy bleed.
How does the ship not just fall apart in that zero inertia state?
Structural stabilization mechanisms, a graphene superframe mesh for rigidity, a magnetic pressure pulse field, tiny vibrations to counter structural forgetfulness, as they put it.
Structural forgetfulness, like the atoms might lose their place.
Something like that, yeah. Also cryoharmonic dampers for phase distortions. And a quantum anchor core basically stores the ship's geometric blueprint as a resonance pattern so it can recompile itself perfectly after the jump.
Okay, what about gravity for the crew? They're not just floating.
They use gravity simulation. Layered Oralis harmonic hums interact with the inner ear, creating a sense of gravity. Some ships might have slow spin rings, too. And for really long jumps, there's cryopod sleep mode.
And sensors. Data logging during the jump.
External sensors are mostly muted. Too much distortion outside. But internal systems are logged constantly to a secure still-band memory, mirrored to Earth if possible. There are emergency phase break protocols if the lens gets unstable.
And if the jump goes totally wrong, catastrophic failure.
Lens failure of safety systems. Emergency bell snapback tries a controlled return. Anchor rebind protocol tries latching onto any stable gravity signature. And isolation sync cryolock puts the crew in stasis for a potential recovery drift mode. Last resorts.
This is incredibly complex for one ship. How do they possibly manage jumping multiple ships together, a whole fleet?
Fleet lensing. It requires what they call multi-body phase coherence. All ships need synchronized harmonics, aligned vectors, matched shell excitation. Creates a shared braided harmonic corridor.
Braided corridors. Sounds tricky to coordinate.
Right.
How?
They use a lead node structure. One ship is the tone master, sets the timing, sends the main sync beacon. The others are follower nodes. They echo the tone master, delay their jump slightly based on its pulse.
So there's a specific process for a fleet jump.
Oh yes. Tone master declaration first. Then phase chain formation ships link their bell systems. Vector braiding aligning trajectories perfectly.
Right.
Pre-pulse verification timing checks. Then lens engraving and jump cascade ships enter the shared lens sequentially.
And when they arrive, how do they avoid a cosmic pileup?
Emergent structuring. They exit the corridor with tiny calculated time offsets, phasic offsets, so no collisions, then an immediate echo handshake to confirm arrival, and they reform into planned formations. Spearhead, umbranet, spiral stack. Depends on the mission.
What if one ship messes up during the fleet jump?
Contingency plans, fails sync, aborts jump, Tone Master fails, Earth AI assigns a new one, late breach of the corridor, emerges solo, tries to rejoin. There are limits, though, on how many ships can reliably sync for one jump.
You also mentioned something called echo ghost formation. Sounds sneaky.
It's deception, projecting fake decoy tone signatures into the corridor to make the fleet seem larger than it is, for misdirection or intimidation.
So it's not just the ships themselves. This whole system relies on that huge buoy network you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. The buoy network is like their nervous system spread across space, passive memory, sensory web, handles comms routing, nav telemetry, monitoring. It's essential infrastructure.
And there are different kinds of buoys.
Yeah, classified by string count. One-string watchers are basic sensors. Two-string echo relays boost signals. Three-string seekers have active scanners for mapping. And four-string, well, that's the Eidolon ships themselves, acting as mobile supernodes.
How do they place these things and keep them positioned?
Usually deployed at system edges or along known routes, they self-activate, sync up. In clusters, they use microthrusters and gravity anchors to hold formation, creating local high-bandwidth links between themselves.
And Earth AI uses this network how? For planning jumps.
Constantly. Analyzes data streams to find safe corridors, reroutes ships around hazards, asteroid fields, weird stellar stuff, updates jump vectors based on real-time conditions reported by the buoys. If a buoy spots trouble, an alert goes out, AI triangulates, issues new orders. It's redundant too. If one node fails, others reroute traffic.
What's the performance like? Signal delays between buoys.
Pretty quick. Seconds for the basic ones, under second for the echo relays. Signal fidelity is very high, uses good compression, and it's self-expanding. More buoys mean better coverage and speed. A buoy echo signature can even carry detailed gravitational wave analysis.
And if a ship loses direct contact with Earth entirely, can it use the buoys?
Yes, that's the backup. Node-to-node backhauling. Signal hops from buoy to buoy until it reaches a core anchor, a major defended relay station. Takes longer, more latency, but it keeps them connected. It's a vital lifeline.
Okay, let's get to the very heart of it. The Aralis drive. Not propulsion, but a resonant tone generator. What does that even mean?
It doesn't work like a rocket engine. No pushing mass out the back.
Yeah.
It generates incredibly precise vibrations, tones that interact directly with space-time via magnetic speaker arrays.
Magnetic speakers manipulating space-time? How? What's the power source?
Superconducting capacitors mostly, with an isotopic backup for emergencies.
And the speakers themselves, how are they built?
Multi-ring design. There's a central graphite manifold that vibrates. That's the key part. It vibrates according to a specific field index signature, a harmonic pattern. Radial speakers then shape and direct the pressure waves from the manifold. It's indirect. The speakers control the manifold's vibration. They don't push space directly.
So tuning the vibration changes the effect.
Exactly. Frequency, amplitude, phase. Tuning these pulses allows directional urging for supercluster mode, or the massive energy release needed to collapse the shell for an FSD jump.
And the harmonic modulation shell, the ship's outer layer, how does it interact with the drive?
It's a layered metamaterial graphene, metal, memory gel, designed to vibrate perfectly in sync with the Aralis drive. It creates that harmonic null shell, isolating the ship. The shell's vibration frequency dictates spacetime's transparency to the ship.
Lower frequencies for maneuvering, higher for jumping.
Basically, yeah. Lower frequencies stiffen spacetime locally. Higher frequencies soften it, allow the folding. Different layers in the shell handle different frequencies for different functions, like dampening or creating the lens boundary.
So it really is all about sound. Vibration interacting with the fabric of reality.
That's the core idea. Even inertial dampening uses tone balance, the suspended manifold, and dampers bleeding off energy, countering G-forces based on waveforms sent by Earth AI. It's all about the right rhythm.
What keeps the Aralis drive itself from, shaking itself apart or going critical?
Safety systems. Speaker lockout if the tone deviates, burst dampers for energy spikes, and a shell overload protocol liquefies outer shell layers to vent heat, might even trigger an emergency microjump.
This has been, well, absolutely fascinating. An incredible deep dive. We've gone from near instant comms to jumping between stars in minutes.
It's mind-bending stuff, the way it all connects the bells, the AIs, the drive, the shell, that incredible buoy network. It's all one integrated system based on harmonics and resonance.
And the language they use, ritual of resonance, folding a will, intention-made vibration. It's almost mystical for such advanced tech. The 5-second comms, the space-time lens.
That idea of space being urged forward, the structural stabilization fighting forgetfulness,
Yep.
and the buoy network acting as galactic senses. So many strange, compelling ideas.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? If any of this was possible, how would it change everything? Our place in the universe, exploration, communication, what kinds of challenges would pop up?
Yeah, the possibilities are vast and probably quite daunting. It's a lot to chew on. And we've really only touched on the highlights here today. There's likely much more hidden in those technical documents.
Perhaps something for another deep dive down the line. For now, thanks for joining us on this exploration of the Eidolon fleet's unbelievable technology. Until next time, keep wondering.